Welcome back to Ladies Let's Talk Business. I am your host, Thomas, and today we are joined by an amazing guest, Miss Jasmine Tasaki. Let me give y'all a quick rundown about Jasmine, okay? She is a fierce community organizer. She's an advocate and leader. And in this episode, we'll dive into her journey, where she talks about self acceptance, resilience, leadership, and how she's creating safe spaces for trans women and the LGBTQIA plus community, especially here in the South. So get comfortable, and ladies, let's talk business. Hi, Jasmine.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great. First, I want to thank you for joining me and having this talk with me.
Yes, thank you for having me. I admire your work. We've known each other for a long time, so it is my pleasure to be here. And anytime I can amplify the work that I do is a great opportunity. So thank you.
You're welcome. Let's get on into it. So, take us back to the beginning. Who is Jasmine and what led you to all the work that you're doing today?
Oh, well, the beginning was 42 years ago.
Well, you look good.
Thank you. So I'll say the beginning of this work probably started when I transitioned in 1996. I was
Okay.
like 13 years old, and I actually came into the awareness of who I was
Mhm.
at probably 3 or 4. But by the time I was 13, I was ready to be outwardly facing with my parents and my
Mhm.
family and accept what that looked like. So, yeah, I transitioned in 1996. I did some amazing things as a teenager. I was always a part of the church
Okay.
and always a part of like theater and choir. So, I was always the same person I am now. A lot of the work that I do now is rooted in performance and beauty and stuff like that. I was also a
You say
hairstylist.
former hairstylist.
Right. I
Yes.
was a hairstylist when I was 13. So I was in all these spaces. And then when I probably got about 17 or 18, I got into sex work.
Okay.
I continued to do hair, but sex work was a big part of how I made my money. And I had transitioned at 13, but didn't really meet people in my community until I probably was about 17. Everything came into so in my life, a lot of things happened around the age of 13, and a lot of things happened at around the age of 17.
Okay.
So I really enjoy meeting people from my community and found another part of myself in a way to amplify who I was,
Mhm.
whether it been my looks or how I had an artistic expression. So, yeah, I started doing sex work and I met other people in my community. And from there, I went on to experience a lot of violence.
Okay.
So,
So let's go back just a
okay,
little bit before we dive deep into the sex work.
okay.
When you said you transitioned at
Mhm.
13, what was that like for your family? Were they accepting? Because I'm sure we have young kids at
Yeah,
13 or probably younger.
yeah.
How was that for you?
These days, the kids transition much younger.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that my family was very accepting, but that doesn't mean it wasn't challenging. And there were times where I didn't feel accepted. Whereas now, as a parent myself, I can look back on those times and be like, you know what, my mama did the best she could. My daddy did the best he could. So there it was a journey. And also there were early signs that
Mhm.
I would probably transition, even though I didn't even have that language.
Mhm.
That language didn't necessarily exist before the word
Right.
transgender. We use the term transsexual, and transsexual is all rooted in sex.
Mhm.
So it's not about really how you show up as a person, but more how you show up sexually.
Right. Okay.
So, and that actually molded a lot of how I made my decisions, getting into sex work and stuff like that. Being rooted, like the word that I was identifying with,
Mhm.
being rooted in sex.
Sex
So,
and not who you were as a person.
right,
But
right.
so let's talk about that.
Okay.
Getting into sex work. What led to that? Were there just not opportunities there for you as a trans woman, or what led you there?
Mm. You know what? I can't say there weren't opportunities
Okay.
because I was a hairstylist. I did hair. Um, also, I was a teenager, so I was finding myself.
Mhm.
I wanted to work at the fast food restaurants and the um, dine-in restaurants like everybody else. So I had a couple of jobs, but ultimately, I mean, I think that the or this perpetuation
Mhm.
back then, because now it's
It's
different.
different,
But
yeah.
back then, it was a perpetuation of a DL lifestyle. So the men were willing to pay,
Mm.
and baby, the money was good. So that's how it led
That's
to
how you
it.
got
Even
there.
though I did hair, even though there might have even been other opportunities, the money was extremely good at that time. We're talking about the late 90s going into the
Yes.
2000s. And the way I got into sex work wasn't all glamorous like it is now. There was no OnlyFans.
Mhm.
People were posting ads, but I worked actually on the streets
Oh, wow.
and I did escort services and like Craigslist ads. So I mean, it wasn't this glamorous thing, but the money was amazing.
With
And
your
I
safety.
also, well, safety was a thing. That's what led to some of the violence that I experienced
Okay.
was, during sex work. I won't say it was because of sex work, because God always has a plan. So it
Mhm.
was all a part of God's larger plan that I experienced what I experienced. But yeah, safety was a thing. I met some amazing people in my community that equipped me with the skills and the tools I needed
Mhm.
to be able to navigate through those spaces. So yeah, I mean, there was some low times and there was some really amazing times in that time. And it went on for a long
I would say,
time.
how long were you in sex
Oh my
work?
God. I can't even count the years.
Oh.
Uh I mean, because it went from doing the grimy
Mhm.
to being able to do these ads and be very selective about what you did. And I also was a girl that did, I don't know if y'all ever seen the movie with was it Jennifer Lopez?
Mhm.
I think Cardi B was in it. I can't remember the name of it. But
With
they
the
were the
yeah,
strippers
yeah,
and they were
yeah.
drugging the guys. So I've had all kind of experiences.
All
I'll just say that.
yes.
So it's been some times where the money was really big.
Mhm.
So that's what kept me there. I
What transitioned you out of
out.
that? Because I know right now you work with the, organization We Care Tennessee, and you're helping other trans women who are in sex work and who may, be dealing with drug use, stop that, to come out of that life that they were in, putting themselves at risk for the violence. So what started that?
Well, I think so. I experienced a lot of violence, and I was a girl that I've always been popular. I tell people I've been fabulous since the womb.
You've been fabulous. The
Fabulous
first
since the
time I
womb.
met you, I instantly fell in love with you at that fashion show, and I was like, "Oh my god, you had short, curly hair." This was like the early. I was like, "Oh my
Yeah,
god,
that was
she
the
is
oh God, girl, she
beautiful."
took it back to the yeah. You went back to the 90s and the
Yes,
2000s
that's
for
when I
real.
first met
But yeah,
you.
I always tell people I've been because a lot of people like to take the opportunity to do nonprofit work and help people and use it as a space to validate who they
Mhm,
are or to make this big gesture. And that's not what it is for me. I've always been a person that loved helping people.
mhm,
But what took me ultimately out of sex work was just being tired.
mhm.
And I had experienced an extreme act of violence. I was shot, and I had been shot before. This wasn't
Oh,
something new,
yeah.
right? It had become a pattern. So for me, I'm like, you know what? I got to stop this shit. I hope we can say that.
You can say
Okay.
shit. But I wanna say I'm glad that you're here. I mean, because that's
Yes.
extreme violence, and
Yes.
to live through that not once, but twice.
Yes. No, three.
3 times,
No,
Jasmine?
4 different times. And that was the fourth time.
Okay.
So I was like, you know what? I can't have my mama to get any more of these calls.
Mhm.
That was really what was big to me. I'll never forget. I was literally laying in the middle of a Little Caesars floor. I had crawled into Little Caesars.
God.
And I was laying in the middle of the floor and I was telling them, call my mama, call my mama. They were calling 911, which
Mhm.
I wanted them to call 911, but I also had them to call my mama. And when I heard my mom's voice, I literally release myself and my spirit to being unconscious.
Oh.
And because I was like, girl, I was defeated at that point. So coming to that point led me to wanting to help other people, coming out of there, because coming out of that, I was really like, girl, why am I still here? I had gone through so much, and I really felt like, I don't know if I feel like I deserved to die, but I felt like I was finished. I was done. And coming back into consciousness, I'm like, girl, what are we doing? Why am I here? So I did a lot of soul searching around why I was still here. And I found through God and just really scaling back on, just coming out of the world and just sleeping and eating and going to church. And girl, I was going to Sunday school. Okay. I
So
got back to
that
the
leads
basics.
me to a question.
Mm-hmm.
With you being a trans woman,
Mm-hmm.
how are you received in church? Is it an issue, or are you vocal of being a trans woman in church? Because we know how religion is.
You know what? I'm glad you said that, my vocal. I mean, I don't owe nobody an explanation
Okay.
who goes to church with me.
Okay.
But I also just so happen to go to the church I grew up in.
Okay.
So it's not like I can get away from it,
Okay,
know,
got
because
you.
everybody knows.
Yeah.
But no, it's never come up. I love my pastor. My church members see me. They don't question me or who I am or my choices. God has challenged me so much in the first 35 years of my life that these last 7 years have been a breeze. Now, there's some internal conflict that I have, just because I'm a trauma survivor and a survivor of violence, and also because I'm a Black woman. We get older, we change. I was late today because I couldn't get it together, right?
Well, you got it together, and again, you look fabulous. And you said something with you being a victim. Well, you're not a victim; you're a survivor.
Yes.
With you being a survivor, how are you able to keep yourself balanced and focused while you're advocating for other people, so that trauma doesn't rise back up when you're trying to help someone else?
Yeah, I think there's no way for that trauma not to rise up.
Okay.
I think that the skill lies within knowing how to navigate in those spaces where your trauma meets your purpose. And for me, it's all aligned in doing what's safe for me and doing what's best for me first. While I am in service and I'm in servitude to the people that I interact with through my organization, I also have to remember I am one of those people that I serve. I started this work out of the identity of being a person that does sex work and a person that uses drugs. I had gone through so much as a child and, coming into an adult through sex work and enjoy drugs, but also use them to numb the things I had been through. So in the awareness that I needed to change, I knew that there were some other girls that needed that same navigation tool, if you will.
So tell us more about We Care Tennessee.
So WeCare Tennessee is an organization that was birthed out of the need to service Black transgender women who do sex work and use drugs. I was working in the community and doing this work and found myself out of work and had to go back to sex work. I was a former hairstylist and makeup artist, but it's harder to get women to get back on board with getting services than it is to get the men back on board. So I was able to go back into that field and just didn't want to this time. Whereas before I was cool with doing it, but now I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. So I ultimately started We Care as this collective, and we started with one program, and it was amazing. We got funding for that program several times, and we became a 501c3 nonprofit organization and started doing all kinds of programs and all kinds of work to support Black transgender women who do sex work and use drugs. And I always say the communities around them or us, because we don't really turn people around. We serve so many people. And I think that it's important. If you can help save a Black transgender woman, then it's nothing to save a Black child, because so many of us will rally around saving a Black child, right? But how many people will rally around saving a Black transgender woman, especially one who does sex work and uses drugs? Because there's so much, I call it the innocence to guilt continuum. There's so many reasons that people will say, oh, well, it's okay that she's going through this because she made this choice, instead of honoring that people make choices that are often rooted out of the trauma they experienced.
Now, you're an advocate for HIV awareness here in the city as well.
Yes.
Can we talk about that?
Yes. So, I don't know if a lot of people know, but Memphis is one of the highest rate cities for new infections within HIV. And it's also amongst kids from 14 to 24. And kids are 24 to some of us, right?
Yeah, they are.
So it's really important that we do this work. And with the women that we serve, they are very vulnerable to becoming one of these statistics. So it's some work that we must do. I have found myself, even as a parent, having to talk about sex and sexually transmitted infections more than I want to. But I think that it's necessary because
has to be talked about.
It has to be talked about. Also, as a parent of a boy, I'm always talking to my child about consent. And that's something else that I think that adds to those numbers of new HIV infections. So, yeah, I'm definitely a big advocate for that. Not just here in the city, but across the country. There are so many organizations that do their work that have lost funding this year because of this big ugly bill, not the big beautiful bill.
Yes.
So I've been really aligning with them to support the work that they do. We are fortunate enough that we have not experienced any funding cuts because we don't necessarily do like a lot of work that is specific to just HIV. Our work is more around serving the whole person, and not just looking at this portion of who they may be.
I can't express again how much it means to me to have you here. Like, these stories need to be heard, they need to be told. And I thought no one better than Jasmine, because you've been so vocal and so open on social media and just out in public about who you are and what you do. So to hear you educate us, educate me, and you're telling me some things that I didn't know and I'm picking up on it, and I'm gonna keep it up here. It's amazing. So again, I just want to thank you because, yeah, this is needed.
Thank you so much.
So with us being allies or employers or anyone who support trans women, how can we help more if they are trying to come out of sex work or just trying to get to the next level in life? How can we help?
I think that one thing we can do just is, I don't want to say elders. In my specific community, I'm considered an elder, but I will say one thing we can do is Black people, because everything that I do is blackity, black.
Okay.
Like, you hear me when I say we serve Black transgender people who do sex work and use drugs. There's a focus on Blackness, and then there's a second focus on being brown. But I think what we can do as Black people is always remember transgender people are people. What we must do is just Black people, period. We got to uplift these young people, and we have to meet them where they are. And we also have to acknowledge and honor our shortcomings, our mistakes and decisions that we made that were not the best for us, because out of those decisions came heart. Out of those decisions came strategy. A lot of the successful people that I know made a lot of bad decisions in their 20s.
And they learned from it.
And they learned from it. And they were able to navigate and become different people. I don't like to use the term better because, baby, I've been the best at everything I've done. I've been the best at, right? Even when it wasn't the best job, I was the best at it.
The best at it.
So I like to to use the terminology different because I think it's important that we evolve as human beings and be able to be okay with that. That's where that happiness comes from. That's how you can support someone, who is transgender. Be within yourself. Be within your own body. Be aware of who you are, because a lot of what happens with people judging transgender people or discriminating against transgender people is because they don't know who they are. And it's making them, it's making them question who they are. And I won't go deep because it's enough back and forth with trans people. And
stories like Jasmine is very important. It has to be heard. It needs to be heard. And that's why I decided to have this story told here on Ladies Let's Talk Business. Jasmine, again, I want to thank you so much. And we'll make sure, tell the people where they can find you on social media.
So I'm a private social media girl. It's hard to find me in private.
Well, your biz.
Yes, I'm playing. So you can find us at WeCareTN.org. You can also find me at JasmineJTasaki.com. That's JasmineJ. T is in Taylor, ASAKI.com. You can also find our organization on Instagram at WeCareTennessee1. You can find us on Facebook, same name. And I am Jasmine Tasaki on all my handles on social media. Yes, and thank you so much for having
welcome.
having me today. When I say us, I'm thinking about just I represent so many people coming into the space, just being a Black trans woman. So I hope to see another one.
You definitely
soon.
will.
Yes,
you definitely will.
because
You
our stories
represent
need
it
to be heard.
well.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And thank you for tuning in to this episode of Ladies Let's Talk Business. Stay tuned, and I'll see you next time when we will continue to talk business. Bye.